all rise. Voulez-vous lever? The International Residual Mechanism for Criminal Tribunals is now in session. L'audience du mécanisme international appelé à exercer les fonctions résiduelles des tribunaux pénaux est ouverte. Please be seated.
Good morning, everyone. In spite of appearances, I'm joined at today's status conference by my colleagues, Judges El-Baj, de Guzman, and Rosa, who are engaged in the proceedings by remote communication. Counsel are in attendance, and I will address them and they me shortly. Mr. Kabuga is also participating in this status conference via video conference link from the United Nations Detention Unit. First of all, I will briefly cover some procedural developments in the case to bring everyone up to date with the history. After hearing the testimony of 3 independent medical experts, as well as oral submissions from the parties, the trial chamber temporarily stayed the hearing of the prosecution's evidence on the 30th of March, pending the resolution of issues related to Mr. Kabuga's fitness to stand trial. Then on 6th of June, the trial chamber, with Judge El-Baj dissenting, issued its decision on Mr. Kabuga's fitness to stand trial and concluded that he is unfit to meaningfully participate in his trial and is very unlikely to regain fitness in the future, and that the best way to ensure respect for his rights and to effectuate the goals of the mechanism is to adopt an alternative finding procedure that resembles a trial as closely as possible, but without the possibility of a conviction. In its decision, the trial chamber further maintained the temporary stay of the hearing of the prosecution's evidence until the expiration of the period for seeking certification to appeal or the resolution of any appeal of the decision. On the 16th of June, the trial chamber granted the prosecution and defense motions and certified for appeal the issues of Mr. Kabuga's fitness to stand trial and the consequences thereof. On 23rd June, the parties filed before the appeals chamber their respective appeals, and on the same day, the President assigned the matter to a bench of the appeals chamber. The trial chamber notes that while the proceedings have been temporarily stayed, motion practice continues. Since there has been no hearing in court since the 30th of March, the trial chamber decided that it was appropriate to have this status conference to report on its ongoing work, to address some minor evidentiary matters, and to enable Mr. Kabuga to raise any issues affecting his welfare. The trial chamber currently has 3 matters pending, namely the joint request for a site visit, the prosecution's 6th Rule 110 motion, and the prosecution's first bar table motion. These matters are currently under active consideration. There is one minor administrative matter relating to some evidence to address. the trial chamber recalls that a number of documents associated to the evidence of witness KAB 005 were marked for identification pending their translation and uploading onto eCourt. The Treasury has now informed the trial chamber that translations for 13 of these documents, namely exhibits P00 323, 341, 342, 344, 347, 350, 356, 358, 359, 362, 363, 369, and 370 have now been completed and uploaded onto eCourt. These documents can now be formally admitted. I will now turn to Council to see what matters they have to raise. If any matters relating to confidential medical issues arise, we will go into private session, and I rely on Council to draw my attention to any such situation that does arise. First of all, I turn to Maître Altit, who also joins us by remote communication, and invite him to raise any issues he wishes to raise. Maître Altit.
Maître Altit, thank you very much, Your Honor. Good morning, Your Honor, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, I would like to raise one point regarding Mr. Kabuga's health status, and I would like to move on to a private session, please.
We are now in open session, Your Honour.
Thank you. In relation to the ongoing business, Maître Altit, there's no particular issue I wish to raise with you. I can simply add to what I said earlier, that in connection with the proposed site visit, I anticipate an order of the Chamber being issued this week in relation to further inquiry that is necessary. The Rule 110 motion is actively under consideration and will be dealt with, I anticipate, shortly after the recess. The first bar table motion from the prosecution is an extensive piece of work and will continue to be addressed, including during the recess, with a view to being as well prepared as possible as we can to deal with the consequences of the appeal. As far as the issue that you did raise, the medical issue, is concerned, I will discuss that with the other judges probably this morning and return and tell you what our position is on your request. So I can turn now, I think, I see Mr. Elderkin here for the prosecution. Mr. Rashid, I see also engaged online. Who speaks? Mr. Elderkin. Can you deal first of all with the request that's been made for access to material, and do you need to go into private session for that?
Good morning, Your Honour, and good morning to those participating remotely. I think just by reference, I don't need private session. The prosecution supports the request for the materials that Maître Altit mentioned. I would add that very similar materials were provided in the past to the parties for similar reasons.
So are you envisaging that on the basis of this somehow or other you would be making submissions or raising issues?
We would like to just understand the materials, and as a layperson, having been dealing now for quite a while with questions around fitness, I'm well aware that sometimes our understanding of the medical terminology and what we see in summarised reports, it can be helpful to see the full reporting set and to have somebody with better qualifications elaborate to us what the meaning is. Also in this particular case, to have some basis to compare what's available now compared to what was provided last year. So until we know what there is and how it correlates to what has gone before, I would hold my breath. I don't have any plan, but it would be helpful to know.
Now, are you going to raise other matters with me?
No, Your Honour,
Right.
I'm not.
So that's it as far as you're concerned.
Indeed.
Thank you very much. I now address myself directly to Mr. Kabuga. Mr. Kabuga, good morning. My inquiry of you is whether there is anything you wish to say in addition to what has already been said on your behalf by Maître Altit.
Your Honor, we didn't really hear any reply from the Kinyarwanda booth.
Mr. Kabuga, can you say again what you have just said, please?
What would you like me to say, Your Honor?
You the opportunity to make any submission you wish to make in addition to what has already been said by MICT-13-38. If there is nothing, please say so.
Yes.
Are you asking me this question, Your Honor?
You the chance to say anything you wish to say.
Are you talking to me, Your Honor? Mr. Kabuga repeats. I haven't understood anything.
Thank you, Mr. Kabuga. I do not need to trouble you. The only question that remains, MICT-13-38, is if anything has arisen since you last spoke that you wish to address. If not, I propose to adjourn, speak with my colleagues, and then return to the bench to give you a response to your request.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Nous n'avons rien à ajouter.
Thank you, Your Honor. We have nothing further to add.
Mr. Elderkin, you wish to intercede?
Your Honour, if I may, just to avoid doing this in 2 bites, but I realise that in the past when we've been granted access for materials to the parties, we've usually followed up with a request to make these available to, on each side, to our respective experts. I believe it would be useful both for us and also likely to MICT-13-38 if perhaps you could confirm with him, but then it would avoid us having to come back with that second part of the request.
Thank you.
I think you were interrupted there, MICT-13-38. Was there anything else?
Non, merci, Monsieur le Président.
No, thank you, Your Honor. And as to the request made by Mr. Elderkin, of course, we agree to his request.
Very well.
Complete this status conference, but for the fact that a request has been made that needs to be answered. My attention's drawn to the possibility that rearranging the connection with the other judges to enable us to discuss your request may not turn out to be simple. However, we shall nevertheless make an effort to make contact, have a discussion, and come back and answer your question. So I will meanwhile adjourn for that purpose. Should there be any significant delay, you will be advised, and we can rearrange the time when we will meet again. So meanwhile, I shall adjourn for that purpose.
All rise.
Pause. Pause. Okay. Aragaruka mu kanya.
All rise. Vous levez. Please be seated.
I've had a chance to discuss this request with all of my colleagues, all three of them, and on this we are unanimous that we are not the appropriate body to deal with the request that's being made. It clearly relates to issues which are now within the control of the appeals chamber, and if parties consider that at this stage, when it's simply a piece of material that will be interpreted by other experts in due course, whether they consider that that would be helpful material and want to obtain it at this stage, then the appropriate place to make that request is before the appeals chamber. So we refuse your request for that reason, Maître Altit. Now, unless there's any other point to be raised, I think that brings these proceedings to an end. And I shall simply now conclude these proceedings. I think no further order is required than that. Thank you very much to Council for your assistance. The chamber is now adjourned.
All rise. Vous levez.